Levan is also, I think that he will be even probably better than before. But the only thing is that like we all have injuries, Devon. And he also experienced an injury and he was smart enough to not to push it, not to rush it. He took his time. But where you are hitting and where he had the problems is the same point.
I would personally be extremely embarrassed if I lost a match where I had hand control.
Another, in my opinion, rather flagrant use of the move comes to us courtesy of Travis Bajent. He pulled the old javelin out of his bag of tricks in a match versus the notorious Michael Todd during the equally notorious, pseudo-cancelled WAL Finals of 2017. Although I think it's pretty obvious what Bajent was doing here, most of the online backlash went towards Michael Todd for his, in my opinion, pretty understandable outburst after the match. There have been others using... Hello. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you might be. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Welcome to the Arm Historian Live. Let's use in chat. Chuck, how you doing, Chuck? Throwing up the Boop Historian emoji. Tony Rizzo, hit the like. Thanks for reminding people. Irakli, how you doing? The Lucky Ones, hey, what's up? Good to see you. If you haven't checked out the Lucky Ones podcast, check it out. #1 resource for female arm wrestling. Azuri, what's up, man? Good to see you. You should send me over a couple of those like garage pictures, because Azuri took some good pictures of where we train. I think I can put them to good use in the live stream. Yo, what's up? Good to see you. Let's get some music going. There we go. Let me know if the sound is off a little. I'm trying some new settings on OBS. Hey Thomas, how you doing? Real Slim JD says didn't watch Georgia versus World, just watched the reviews and stuff. I got the gist of the results. Yeah, for the most part, I'm gonna be honest. That's also what I did, although I did catch most of the matches. There's some things we're gonna go over. Obviously, we're gonna go over a couple of match results, but I kind of think like maybe that should take a back seat to talking about the actual event and how it kind of turned out in its totality. I think that's maybe a little more useful. How many of you actually saw the event or bought the pay-per-view? What were the pay-per-view numbers like? Because I saw a couple of posts here and there about pay-per-view numbers, like how many sold. And yeah, if those numbers are true, which I don't know if they are, like I have no clue. If those numbers are true, that's not good. Although we might as well start with, I did see that they announced a Georgia versus World 2. I believe so. I believe Gennady announced it somewhere. It's not, to be fair, it's not announced here. I saw it, I think, a Reddit post about it. Although it might be, yeah. I don't know, but that's what I heard at least, that they're gearing up to organize a second event, so must have been somewhat positive, right? Or somewhat lucrative. Hey, Boss Royale, long time no see. How you doing, man? Homer in the house, what's up? Irakli was there. Irakli is our resident Georgian, I believe. So Irakli, please, if you were at the event, feel free to fill me in as much as you can on the general atmosphere, stuff like that. Yeah, Georgia versus World 2. I feel like sometimes I say Georgia versus West, which it definitely isn't. But sometimes, yeah, I kind of sneak in a combination between this event and East versus West. They will announce in 1 week or two, if I remember correctly, what Roman said. Interesting. So I think what I saw, and like this is off a Reddit post, right? I'm trying to find it here. I think I saw, yeah. So Georgia versus World 2 is confirmed. Gennady Kukhina said yesterday that second tournament is already confirmed and will happen in Tbilisi in 2 months. The third Georgia versus World will likely happen in Baku. So this is what a random Redditor posted here, so definitely don't take it as gospel. Yeah, that's where I got that from. Abbas Royale says the stadium was empty from what I saw. Yeah, so I did see a lot of posts about the stands, and they were very empty. I even saw a comparison post. Let's see if I can find it somewhere here. Between East versus West. The one in Tbilisi, I believe, and this one, although I'm not quite sure. Yeah, there was also Over the Top in Australia, which seemed like a nice tournament. A couple of people entering there and doing some side pulling, including Devon, side pulling part. Let's see. Yeah, so Georgia versus World's attendance versus East versus West's attendance. Both in Tbilisi, Georgia. Hey Dave Nervy, thank you for subscribing, man. Appreciate it. One of the best ways to help the channel out. Talking about subscribing, by the way, we just hit the 12k mark, so yay us, right? Well done us. Tony Rizzo says, seemed like the setup was nice. Yeah, like just looking at it there, I don't mind it at all. I think it looks pretty well put together. Yeah, that being said, of course, the stands, barely any people in there. There's a couple of tables here. See if I can get a bigger picture for you guys. Yeah, so there's a couple of tables here filled with people. And then these tables presumably also like VIPs or something, although yeah, this table untouched, this table untouched, this table untouched, this one also untouched. So maybe these ones are also VIP tables that were filled. And then yeah, very few people in the stands. I wonder if they were going for like live ticket sales. I wonder if they were pushing that at all, because I didn't really see anything relating to that, but maybe like Irakli can fill us in. Irakli says, sadly it was not a very successful event, ticket sales wise and pay-per-view too, I guess, because the chat was quite slow, but I think they have enough of their own and sponsors money for now. It's great to hear that they have sponsors money. Yeah, it's not an easy thing making arm wrestling events lucrative, especially from the first go around, and a very big one like this, like that many matches. So I can't imagine they would have had an easy job making a lot of money on the events. So it's good to hear that they have sponsors lined up. That's promising, although, you know, sponsors, when they don't see a great return, like if the pay-per-view numbers are low, that also means that the exposure to the product of the sponsors is low. So if sponsors don't see a big return on their investment, yeah, then they just bail out. We've seen it many times before with other leagues, same thing happening. Very hard to turn a profit in arm wrestling, says AI Audiobooks. Yes, indeed. It is. East versus West has never been profitable. Think about that. Yeah, that's something I see getting thrown around. I don't know if that's actually true. If like they didn't turn a profit on any of their events. But yeah, it might be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was true. Real Slim says, even with sponsors, they don't stray if results don't come up quick. Yep, indeed. like I said, sponsors who buy advertisements, basically. That's what you're doing, right? You're trying to get your product in front of as many eyes as possible. So if the event does badly, then the return on investment for sponsors will also be very low, which will in the end drive sponsors away. In this case, I think LeaderBet seems to be their main sponsor, right? Seeing as LeaderBet is about 4 times as big as Georgia versus World itself, like the font size. Just old Joe says, to be honest, I wouldn't buy a membership on Ryan's channel if he was reading out the lottery numbers a day early. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that's fair insofar as I don't think the channel membership model is a good one. Now, to be fair to them, as far as YouTube goes, YouTube doesn't have a better option for doing something like that. There's nothing like a one-time thing you can buy from a channel to watch it. Nothing like that. So through YouTube, I think there was no better option than that. Now, that being said, they could have figured out a better way to do it, right? I'm sure there's other platforms that kind of facilitate this kind of thing, or they could even spend some time and money to make their own one. Although I get that they don't really have the money to do that, right? It's like their very first event. But there must be some kind of platform where you can live stream something for people. According to Dexter, East vs West has never been profitable. Interesting. Has there ever been an arm wrestling promotion that made a profit? I don't know about... There's been single events that have been televised and have made profits, but like a promotion as a whole, no, I don't think there were. There is quite a bit of money in organizing tournaments, just purely from a... usually there aren't even any like monetary prizes in tournaments, or like a gift voucher or something. But you still have to pay quite a bit of money to enter for each category, each arm, stuff like that. So I think tournaments, especially if they've got a couple of sponsors and stuff, can turn a profit. But as far as like things that are actually meant to be consumed by people and arm wrestling fans, like as an event, nah, I can't think of many. I'm trying to think of any. You could argue that some of the WAL things turned a profit for a short time. Yeah, it's hard to quantify in some cases, right? Because I think the most popular events that were televised, like the very old over-the-top tournament that they organized for the movie, it's hard to quantify, like, has that turned a profit? Was purely as an ad for the movie. But let's not get too far on track. You see here, they're comparing it to an East versus West event in Tbilisi, also in Georgia. Not the same venue, obviously, as far as I can tell. I think they're in completely different parts of Georgia. But yeah, notable difference. So, is it like the names that show up? Is it like the prestige that's surrounding East versus West? Was arm wrestling just in a better place in general? Tournaments might be the way to go, as much as I prefer the super match format. I wouldn't be opposed to like shaking it up and seeing a big tournament series where it's like the top guys participate in a tournament with actual like weight classes and finals and semifinals. I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon, especially with the big names. But if you could make that happen, would be great. I think that's like one of the things holding arm wrestling back a little. I was thinking on it a little the other day while coming across some posts. Kind of some doom posts about arm wrestling is dying and stuff like that. Which I don't agree with by and large. But I think one of the major issues might be that the top draws of the sport, the strongest guys in the sport, apart from a very few number of people like Devin, who is one of the top people ranking wise, but also pulls the most. Like he's one of the most active people in the super match circuit. Apart from people like him, a couple of other guys, yeah, not a lot of the really top elite pullers like Levon and stuff, Vitali, like pull a lot, right? Like Levon, how many matches a year does a guy get? Like one match a year? I get it, like the chance is very small to beat Levon, but maybe you would see a couple more interesting matches and upsets if Levon was actually forced to pull a couple times a year, at least. Like imagine if every one of the top pullers had to pull 4 matches a year in order to remain active in the rankings. You would have guys that couldn't really peak for a certain point. I get that. You need a lot of rest and you need to peak in all kinds of different ways, if you know what I'm talking about. But that would make it more interesting, you know what I mean? Would shake the rankings up quite a bit more, and being ready for your match and staying in shape all year long is just part of the process. And the top level of guys might go down a bit, like the average level of the guys might go down a bit, but they'll all be going down because they're all gonna be forced to pull several times a year, you know what I mean? No one can maintain like a cycle that long. But they're all gonna go down a little bit in power, maybe in output, but we'd have a ton more matches. Levon would actually maybe be beatable in one of his matches. I just think in general it would kind of maybe get some new life into the sport in a way. Chuck says, I personally feel like there is less things happening. Like when Engin did podcasts, he did a lot of them almost all the time. Yeah, on the other hand, there is quite a bit of arm wrestling content out there, right? Especially lately, I've seen a lot of new channels pop up. And some of them quite good, so yeah. Trying to... The only match I want to see is Vitali versus Devin. I think that's inevitable. The Vitali versus Devin match bound to happen, right? Georgia versus World just happened, and Over the Top 2, yes. 2 big events, right? East versus West is gonna be happening soon. Couple of good matches there. Let's take a look at some actual match results. I got these open here. They're not all of them, but we'll go into some separate ones after this. Now, of course, from here on out, there's going to be spoilers. I think that goes without saying. For those of you that haven't watched the event or don't want to get spoiled on the event results, time to tap out for maybe, yeah, a couple of minutes here. But Batalov versus, but yeah, I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. Varachkelia, 2-3. Oljabek versus Beradze, 1-3. So Pretty good matches. Nachlishvili versus Mashimov. 1, 2, 3. Hovhannissian versus Ichinava. 3, 2, 1. It's really difficult for me. I'm struggling here. Muzaffarov versus Sporong. 3, 2, nothing. The Muzaffarov versus Sporong match. Sporong didn't really have a chance. Like it says it here too, I think. Oh no, that's in a different match, but yeah. Sporong had little chance, it seemed. It is on the right, I believe. It was a right-handed match. And Sporong obviously way better on the left. Muzaffarov also not to be underestimated, clearly. Akimbo versus Samusha is not there. It was 2 to 3. Yeah, a couple of matches aren't on here. A couple of results, but indeed, Samusha versus Akimbo, another match that went completely differently than I expected. But yeah, really happy for Akimbo because I think he performed really well. Chuck says, now I see only some meh posts on Instagram with scripted quotes. Yeah, you do have to dig a little. It's just I think it's just a product of, in general, more arm wrestling content is being made. So you do have to go through kind of a process of filtering out the not so great stuff. I saw a lot of like AI arm wrestling Instagram accounts pop up of like AI art of famous arm wrestlers and stuff. And those arm wrestlers actually sharing that. I don't mind, really. I think it'll pass after a while, or it'll be just so much, it'll just be so oversaturated that people will get sick of it. Irakli says, by the way, Beradze was a prelim match, is very good. He beat the current super heavyweight world champ, Efe Komek, in a super match. Efe right now has a match on East vs West. That's great. Yeah, a lot of talent coming out of there. A lot of talent coming out of Georgia too. The fact that more people want to see Vitali versus Devon than Levan versus Vitali says a lot about how much people care about seeing Levan pull. I don't know if that's actually true. I think Levan versus Vitali would do quite well too. Probably there's more interest in Devon versus Vitali. Like, how do you think Devon versus Levan again would do? I think from the diehards there wouldn't be a lot of interest. But I remember even the second go around when people were kind of aware that would be a tall order for Devon to do anything against Levan, and maybe a lot of people in the know on arm wrestling weren't that into that match. But a lot of people that were like tangentially into arm wrestling, or even weren't into arm wrestling, were talking about that match. So like Devon versus Levan would potentially do even better than Devon versus Vitali or Levan versus Vitali. After looking at the results, I was surprised to see Tobias lose 3-0. Then I realized it was a right-handed match. Yes, indeed, I had the same reaction when I saw the match, and then realized, talking about the right hand here, not Tobias' best. But still, not to take anything away from Muzaffarov, because I don't think Tobias is an easy opponent in any case, on any arm. Unless Devon can actually get to 330, a third match is pointless. Yeah, I agree there. Yeah, I would just like to see Levan on the left hand versus anyone. Would be nice. Makarova took her match over Sharma with 3-0. Samusha versus, I believe this is Mr. Kirsten Prodigy, a 3-1, and if I remember correctly from watching the match, think Samusha fouled out, right? I don't think Kirsten had like any pins on Samusha in that match, if I'm not mistaken. Adamian versus Pogosiani. Pogosiani winning there 3-0. And then Bowen versus Bubenko. Another match I think quite a few people were looking forward to. And Bubenko took that match pretty convincingly from what I remember versus Bowen. Of course, Ryan very positive about things on his Instagram, I believe. Let me pull that up for you guys. I believe Ryan made a couple of posts there about his experiences at Georgia versus World. And I think he's the person involved that's most active on social media. So I think in order to get like a feel for a couple of things, it's useful to take a look at his social media. Although I'm looking at his Instagram posts, and I don't. Yeah, okay, I see a couple of things here. Let me share it with you guys. Lagia says that Reddit user SVL is kind of crazy. He gets like really happy when Georgia versus World doesn't do well. Yeah. A lot of very interesting characters on Reddit. I'm very well aware some people there are just, yeah, a little too obsessed. Although, for the most part, I like the Reddit arm wrestling people in general. You kind of just have to sift through the BS a little bit, and through the biases. But it's definitely doable, and once you're there, actually a couple of decent people on there and some good discussions. Here Ryan pointing out an elbow foul that wasn't really a foul. Aristo coming into hot waters again over a call. Funny, I had Risto as a ref there. Risto was a ref at a local tournament I was at. I think like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now. A top 8 super heavyweight tournament at East versus West would be fun. Any weight class. Yeah, I agree. Just in general, I think would be a good idea to kind of get some new stuff going, right? Some new formats into the sport just to try them out. I think it could do really well. All of these guys are world and European champs, and most of them easily top 10 in their classes, and people don't know them. That's how much arm wrestling needs more than just East versus West. I do agree that I've always been like a proponent of having multiple leagues is a good thing. So yeah, I do agree that having that kind of competition out there and more places for young pullers coming into the sport to show off what they've got, or old pullers, I don't really care about age. But yeah, giving people a stage, more people a stage, gives you more chance to find those diamonds in the rough. That could be potential future ambassadors for the sport, right? Like a lot of the top guys are right now. The more interesting people we got in the top of our sport, the better it will get, right? Let's take a look at some other events here. Savrashvili versus Makarov, 1-2-3 for Makarov. Tabagari versus Lamparelli. Lamparelli took that match. Very unfortunate that Nugo as well as Aidarkan couldn't make the event. So yeah, that was very unfortunate. I think they lost a lot with the Nugo dropout. So yeah, that's too bad for the event. Can be easy to deal with. Yeah, we should talk about Over the Top 2 a little bit, maybe. I saw East Side there, Over the Top. Here he is. I think he didn't do that well himself. But yeah, really good on him for putting himself out there. Although I saw like he got fouled out a couple of times for like moving in the res grip, and they were super strict with it, apparently. He's doing some great stuff for arm wrestling over there. He opened a gym. This is his gym's page, by the way. Singapore's first arm wrestling gym. Opening a gym can be easy. Give him some love if you can. Check him out. It's my man Greg from Eastside Arm Wrestling. He also has a YouTube channel, quite big YouTube channel. Yeah, this is him. Here he is on the right, getting a foul for moving in the ref's grip. Which, yeah, he didn't move a lot. Here you can see it again. Yep, moved. Foul. Don't think he pulled that match. Hey Atlantis, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Welcome, welcome. Appreciate you turning up here. Multiple leaks is good, but not when they're all pay-per-view. Casual fans aren't buying into that. Hell, broke fans can buy all the cards. Need some streaming deals ASAP. Yeah, would be good. To find some sponsors that could take care of everything. And then you can just focus on presenting a good free product or a very cheap product, especially for your first event, right? I think the price point stopped a lot of people buying it, and I saw I saw some things, some numbers that weren't that encouraging now. I don't know if those numbers are completely accurate, but yeah, I saw things of like 200 pay-per-view memberships on Ryan's channel or something like that. And if that's true, then yeah, not good. We should also talk about the main match of Georgia versus World. Which, hang on, I thought I had it open here. Let me pull it up for you guys. Zauer versus Zeranov. Yeah. I think at the start, Zauer did quite well, if I remember. And then Zeranov just took over. Seemed like Zauer was powerful of the start, had a good hand and all, but just got tired, from what I remember. Very quickly gassed out. And then Georgie here took over. So pretty one-sided match, but Zauer showed something. What if they could stream it on like Patreon? Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Patreon would be a good platform for doing something like that. I agree. Would have been way better than memberships on different YouTubers' channels. You know what would have been cool if they because now they use to select few YouTubers who were eligible to do that. But if they would have just handed it or like given some matches to YouTubers, certain content creators, for them to show on their channel. I don't know. It's just, it seems like arbitrary the way they selected which content creators would stream it, because there were others, right, apart from Ryan, or was it simply Ryan? And also, wasn't the event like 20 euros when we checked it out? I think they upped it to like 30 or something last I checked. Maybe there was like the early bird special or something. Azar's wrist was not holding well. Esma, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. We will have a different platform for sure. Gennady said they had so much work to do and could not manage to have a dedicated platform for pay-per-view. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But like Patreon, now that Atlantis brought it up, would be really good for this. It's really easy to do stuff like this on Patreon. You don't even have to do the recurring memberships or stuff like that. Atlantis says the starter promotions need to be a bit more realistic. Not everything is worth $20+ a stream for very low popularity and exposure. Yeah, very true. I see a lot of people are kind of putting the responsibility also with arm wrestlers to kind of temper their expectations on what they should be getting paid. Maybe they shouldn't have rushed the rollout of the promotion. I think, I don't know, there's just a couple of things that's so weird to me that they didn't take a little better care of. It always seems with these events, with these kind of promotions, that their social media team drops the ball sometimes. Like, getting the word out there seems so difficult on where to even buy the event and stuff like that. Like, essential information, having a website up and running that's at the top of the results when you search up Georgia versus World. Like, simple SEO stuff that they should have taken care of before they made the event, right? Just doesn't happen for some reason. But yeah, I would think that before you make a huge event like that, you get that stuff out of the way, taken care of perfectly. So I don't know, maybe they were like over eager and tried to get it out before the next East versus West. And that kind of put them on a time crunch in which they couldn't do that with the budget they had. I don't know, maybe they just didn't think of it or didn't think it would be that important. No idea. But yeah, there's a lot of things that they could have done better, but all in all, I didn't think the event looked bad. I thought the production was quite good. Yeah, there were a couple of snafus. I saw like, let me see if I can pull it up here. Somewhere on the arm wrestling subreddit here, I saw a post of like the one that captured a small piece of the event. This is quick glance at Krasimir here, doing quite well versus Latiev. We didn't talk about that match yet. Yeah, Krasimir beat him quite firmly there. Can't quite find the post, but there were a couple of like video issues. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So obviously, I think it's normal depending on what kind of production company you hire, because I'm sure some production companies could pull it off for a first event, but I think it's normal for a first event that's on a budget to have a couple of technical difficulties like this one. So I don't fault them at all for that, and I think in general they did quite well on some aspects. I don't know who the commentator. Sometimes certain commentator, not so. Yeah, I see someone commenting on it here. They could have done better there, but also like growing pains for a first event. So stuff like that I don't really blame. Like a first try, a first event. But like other stuff that goes beyond just the event itself, like getting people actually watch the event. Yeah, I think a lot of it could be improved still. The quality did seem decent from what little I saw, says Atlantis. Yep. It was decent. I do think Patreon offers the ability to go live these days, Atlantis. Could be wrong. Your boy Mitch says, I think they were trying to piggyback off East vs West promotion for the November 1st card, thinking if they were close together, people would figure it out. Wouldn't figure it out, yeah. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe they wanted to show them up a little bit. Show that they could put on a really good event before their event. Took the wind from their sails, something like that. I don't know. That being said, I am looking forward to East vs West. Also, again, to kind of check how the production side of things is going now. After the, like when Brian Shaw will no longer be involved. Also, they're doing it in a place that's quite expensive, to be fair. So we'll see. Irakli says they didn't have anyone but Ryan. Translator had to commentate when Ryan was warming up and pulling. That's nice. Stuff like that. Couldn't they have like gotten another commentator in? Someone that didn't have to pull one of the matches that night? Would it have been so difficult to find one person whose English was decent and knew something about arm wrestling? Adamantium, how you doing? Says I'm late to the show. Hello, all. Formerly Gotham Arm Wrestling is my new name. Welcome, welcome. Adamantium Arm Wrestling, formerly known as Gotham Arm Wrestling. Definitely hope East vs West keeps the production level up to par with the last event. Yeah, one can hope. I liked it too. One can hope. Yeah, another thing. Like people in Georgia apparently had issues buying the pay-per-view because they couldn't get memberships to channels. Hey Fake Henry, how you doing? And dude, you're Devon Glazer. Maybe. I don't mind Devon. I get along well with Devon for the most part. Irakli says, to be fair, that translator knows arm wrestling very, very well. He's not just a great commentator. That's good. He's just not a great commentator. Yeah, I get you. Yep. Yep. Like I'm saying, like, that's fine. I don't know. Maybe they could have gotten a better one, maybe not. I don't think that's essential. So if I harped on it too long, that's fair. Because it isn't essential to having a good event. It does help. And Ryan in general usually does a good job commentating, I think. He's a good commentator. So yeah, I think I'm thinking of other things that we can talk about as far as Georgia versus the world goes. But I can't think of a ton. Maybe it's worth it looking at some East versus West. Went to their old website here. I hope they have all this figured out, because right now the old website is still at the top of the results when you type in East versus West in Google. Now their new website is only third right now. But yeah, here we go. Why these Devon fans hating Georgia versus World? If Georgia versus World didn't make Zauer versus Zeranov, who's gonna Ermi's pull in February? East versus West takes half a year to make a single event. No, I do agree, Henry Naring. Fake Henry Naring. And I did speak on this before in the live stream. Like, I'm happy there's more leagues out there, and I think in general they did a good job. Production-wise especially, and some of the matches were enjoyable to me, so I think in general they did a good job. There's just a couple of easy things, I feel like, or maybe I'm underestimating how difficult they are, but some easy things that they could have done to maybe up their pay-per-view numbers a little bit. Because at the end of the day, I do want to see any arm wrestling league succeed, right? Doesn't really matter which league, but if a league starts to do well, that can only mean good things for other leagues and for arm wrestling in general. So, yeah, as many of them as possible would be my preference. Atlantis says, I don't know, maybe I'll buy next time if it's a better way. Yeah. Also, they need to, like, I feel like, package these matches really well on YouTube. Like, release them pretty soon and package them really well. Don't keep them on your members only tier on YouTube. Cut them up, edit them well, make them shorter than the entire match, and package them really well on YouTube. Good thumbnails, good titles. Could do quite well, who knows. But that's definitely something they should put some time and effort into. Adamantium says Hermes requested the winner of the match. Yeah, would be a decent match, I think. Atlantis will try to stop hating. Hey, you feel free to express your opinion in any way you want here. As long as you stay civil, I don't really care if you hate or love the event. I'm only trying to give my own opinion about the event in an as nuanced way as possible. I don't really like making blanket statements about this event was terrible or this event was perfect, you know what I mean? Swag Money says, I didn't expect such a manly face from Arm Historian. Well, I am a man, so that would explain. What kind of face were you expecting? Irakli says, yeah, I think Zeranov has very little chance against Hermes. Svetkov, who is not necessarily better than Zeranov, has a better chance versus Hermes. Yeah, might be a match, like a bad matchup stylistically. Yeah, I don't know. I would think Hermes would have the upper hand going into the match. But Zeranov has surprised me on many an occasion. Yeah, I appreciate you, Atlantis. Your takes are always balanced in chat too, so yeah, I like those kind of people too. Your boy Mitches, not enough saw the event to judge it. To be fair, they just didn't get people invested. Yeah, and I bet that's way more difficult than I'm even making it out to be in my head. From what limited experience I have putting things out there, not an easy task. But yeah. I do think they could have done a couple of things better in the lead up to the event to, like you put it, get more people invested. versus Jerry. Pretty good match, actually. It is a pretty good match because, I don't know, man, Jerry, if he comes in on a really good day, he's able to pull this off. It like throws a wrench into all the rankings and like potential future matchups. Because imagine if Jerry beats Vitali here, and then Devin goes up against Vitali. It wouldn't mean as much, right? Because Devin, I think, pretty handily would beat Jerry, and I think a lot of people assume the same thing. Which might just be a product of how many times they've pulled, and Devin is very familiar with how Jerry pulls and how best to counter it. So, but yeah, I would think that Devin would beat Jerry. So imagine if Jerry beats Vitali. Would that take a lot of hype away from the Devin versus Vitali potential super match? Maybe. Henry says, why don't you promote Georgia versus World? You hate arm wrestling then. I talked about Georgia versus World in my live stream before the event. I do talk about Georgia versus World. I don't generally post a lot on any of my social media. And if I post anything on my YouTube channel, it's not that kind of content, you know what I mean? But I do talk about Georgia versus World, and I have. I try to give people my opinion on it. I'm not just gonna, unless they pay me, you know what I mean? I'm not just gonna say, like, you should buy Georgia versus World. I can, in good conscience, tell anyone to spend 30 euros on an arm wrestling event. I just can't do it. So yeah. Toljan says, what do you think? How much money did Georgia versus World lose? My guess is around 30k. I hope they didn't lose anything. I hope their sponsors kind of covered most of it. And I hope they are maybe able to recuperate some of the costs from posting the matches in a good way afterwards. I hope that's the case. There is talk about Georgia versus World 2 happening. So if that's the case, the event must have not done that badly, right? Atlantis says, because we know Devin will get Jerry, he'll show up sick or out of shape or something. Yeah. I hope in this match, and I'm talking about Vitali versus Jerry here, I hope Jerry shows up in incredible shape. Like, I think Vitali's gonna show up really well because he has been looking really good in his past few matches, but I hope Jerry will come in awesome shape. Lagia says, if I was the organizer, I would make Petrenko versus Nugo the main event and Sago versus Dave main. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Vitali versus Jerry, I don't mind that as a main event. And I think, like, these 4 matches, very solid already, right? Like you said, Sagov, Dave Chafee, Irakli versus Hutchings, and Petrenko versus Nugo, I think are all very solid matches, honestly. Jerry always chokes when it matters lately. Ever since that Engin match, he has blown it. Yeah, Jerry is very up and down. That is true. I think it seems like it matters a lot to him how the start of the match goes sometimes. Like if he gets overpowered out of the gate, seems to take the wind out of his sails. Or maybe it's just the shape he shows up in that day, right? Could be so many things influencing Jerry and how he feels on the table. Yeah, that is true. A non-title match is not the main event here. I think they probably just cared about hype and name recognition, right? Like I said, I don't know. I think I didn't mean it to like. They didn't even have to pay me. You know what I mean? To talk more about the event. In general, I'm willing to work with organizations if they just contact me and ask me to like make something or make an extra post or something like that. But it doesn't seem like they contacted a lot of content creators to actually do anything for them. Like if I would be making an event, that's maybe because I'm like in that world a little bit, but I would try to reach out to like content creators of any level, right? Because my channel is still quite small, but there's a lot of bigger channels in arm wrestling too, and just reach out to them to do anything on Georgia versus World. And as far as I can tell, that didn't happen. They didn't reach out to me, and neither to a lot of other content creators that I know in the sport. Now, I talked about the event. I did some stuff on the event, not to a large degree. And of course, it's good that content creators just talk about arm wrestling events in general. But I do think as an event, you need to be kind of proactive and reach out to people to like, hey, I know we can't really afford to pay you. You've probably heard of our event, Georgia versus World. It'd be great if you could feature us, or maybe one of the athletes can come on a live stream of yours, or just anything, right? Just reach out. What do you got to lose as an event organizer to do that? You don't even have to pay a lot of content creators. I bet a lot of people online would jump at the opportunity to kind of get to work with an event like that, right? So stuff like that, and it's generally not gonna give you like hundreds of pay-per-view numbers per content creator, but small stuff like that starts to add up, you know, especially if your margins are already super thin. It does start to add up in the end. I think small stuff like that, like better SEO, having a website, a dedicated website, using another streaming platform, reaching out to content creators to get more awareness going in the community about the event. A more clear communication as far as how you can buy the event and stuff like that would have gone a long way. All those things start to add up, although they're not that big of an oversight when they're isolated things. But when you put them all together, yeah, you're missing out on some major pay-per-view numbers, I think. And some major hype could potentially be generated for your event. Vitaly has a disadvantage in the match. He's left. He's the longest in the game. Devin doesn't actually have that long of an arm, relatively speaking, only an inch longer than mine. I'm a 95 kilogram puller. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, if they were smart, they would set Atlantis. I do agree that they could have done things better. That being said, they pulled some stuff off that I didn't think they would pull off. Like I said in my last live stream, I hope the event happens, because I was hearing things about the event being cancelled and stuff like that. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and the event actually went through, and production-wise, I was quite surprised at how smooth it ran, and how good things looked for the most part. So I do think they did a good job for their first event. It's just that some things seem really easy to me to do, or really obvious, and obviously that wasn't a priority for them, so Make a rise. Jack Daniels says, make a rise and fall of Aussie arm wrestlers. Since at first he said he was going all in, quitting his job, and now he hardly ever uploads. I know Jake through talking to him personally. Like, I've met him once in real life, but I've talked to him many times behind the scenes. I like Jake for the most part. He's been genuine with me. He has a lot of beefs in the community, a lot of beef with people in the community. I don't know. Maybe he's burned out a little bit. I don't want to speak for him, you know what I mean? I don't want to speak out of turn. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm not gonna make a rise and fall on him anytime soon. I've got a lot more pertinent topics to cover than that, I think. But yeah, I do hear what you're saying. Lagia says, I'm just exhausted by super heavyweights always being forced into the spotlight. It doesn't feel natural. Nugo versus Petrenko is objectively a more significant match in that weight class, same as Sago versus Dave. I hear you. I'm guessing it's what draws the most eyes to the sport. That being said, I do think there are characters in lower weight classes that could potentially do really well if you actually put them in the spotlight. Like Matt Mask and Serhiy Kalinchenko's match, I think could potentially do quite well. Both those guys are kind of unique characters. Would be a very explosive match. I think putting people like that more in the spotlight than they are right now could potentially be a good thing. Would allow for more people to kind of take that like front row like Devin has, and a lot of other people who get like the big draws like Vitali and Levan and so on. People who aren't necessarily even the best arm wrestlers on the card, right? A rise and fall of Aussie arm wrestler would be diabolical. Jerry's a hype killer. Fat red lizard, says Stolchan. I haven't heard that one before. Okay. Henry. You can say a lot of things in my chat, but yeah, like unfounded things. Let's not do that, please. Let's not do that. Okay, I'm gonna have to time you out. I don't do it often, but like, come on, man. You can think those things, but don't say them out loud in my chat. Unless it's like actually founded by some evidence that's publicly available. Some real evidence, not some, because I know what you're referring to. I've read all the trust me, I've gotten a ton of comments even on my videos about all kinds of things, and I've looked into it and I know what you're referring to. I'm not gonna be the one to like speak on that in any of my videos or anything like that, unless like something happens and it's out in the open, something, I don't know, some proof shows up that currently is not there. I cannot look at that as proof. The things people are presenting online, I can't look at that as proof of anything. So yeah, I don't want to in any way facilitate the spreading of messages like that. Yeah, I'm not gonna, that's what we're here for. Yeah, a lot of the other matches I'm looking forward to too. Gabriella, always nice to see this match, although maybe people are getting fatigued on it a little bit, but it might be a good match. Gabriella might surprise us all. Oleg, always good to see Oleg pull. I think Tom's Rožic is fine. He's a quiet, respectful guy. Maybe not the most hype match out there, but I think it's a good match because these two have faced each other before at WAF, and it has been relatively close. So potentially a good match, and looking forward to it actually. I'm always looking forward to seeing Oleg on the table. Always a treat. Sergey versus Matt, really good. Looking forward to this match a lot. I think they'll bring the energy and it'll be a good match, potentially. David Ariakan versus Kamil Jablonski. Yeah. Not bad, although I think David should have this, right? The 115 kg class. Did Kamil have to lose significant weight to get there? Actually don't know. I think he would have, right? If he's pulling in the 115. Anyways, yeah, I don't mind this match. I always like to see a couple of high-level pressers in an event, just because it shakes things up a little bit. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, your boy Mitch. First I thought it was in the opens, just no weight limit. But 115 kind of surprises me for Kamil. I know David gets there all the time, right? He basically pulls in 115. As long as the start is fair, yeah. And as long as they call shoulder over center falls, which in my experience, even in tournaments, rarely called. Got a friend training partner that lost a couple matches that way. Like opponents being over the center with their shoulder. But yeah, fair start also important. Daniel Ustinov versus Mindaugas on the right arm. Gonna be interesting here. My money on Mindaugas. Don't really have my money on anyone. I don't gamble, but who I would have my money on. Marharind, Petro, Marharind and Yoshinobu Kanai. Really good to see Yoshi again. Hope he does well here. Awesome that they invited him back. A shame that they put him so low on the list. But actually, like, looking at the event, F.A. Comic versus Manuel Battaglia. I think Manuel is, like, apart from Hermes. And I think Manuel beats because Manuel is yeah, in the 115 plus super heavyweight. Wait, is this plus? Yeah, this is plus. So Kamil versus David isn't in the 115 class, like I said before. Yeah, it's really confusing the way they put this here, but okay, yeah. So it's a 115 plus class. They are pulling in the super heavyweight. That makes more sense. As are these guys here. Pulling on the right arm in the super heavyweight class. Manuel, really good. I think apart from Hermes, he's the arm wrestler to beat in Italy. So yeah. Going up against F.A. Comic, I hope F.A. will be able to put in a good result here. I like this match. I really don't mind this match. And then Nishana Babayeva versus Elina Persson. No clue. But yeah, why not throw in another women's match in there? That's all good. Honestly, guys, that's a pretty good card. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, I kind of like it. This card is looking really good, says your boy Mitch. I agree. Adamantium Arm Wrestling says, how's your training and pulling going, Historian? Pretty well. I've upped my training lately. Yeah, like one of my training partners has converted his garage into like a gym. And we also have a new table there that we bought. So I've been doing a lot of training there. A really good pulley system with an arm wrestling table actually next to it. So it's like a level up for me personally. Yeah, it's been going well. I've been feeling strong. Haven't entered into a lot of tournaments, but looking forward to my nationals pretty soon. I think it might be in February or something like that. Yeah, I pull every Saturday, and then I train Mondays usually, Tuesdays, and Thursday if I can. Like Thursday sometimes I have to skip because of time constraints and stuff. But yeah, I pull 2 times a week. I train 2 times a week to 3 times a week, and then I pull once on Saturday. Now, not all the trainings are arm wrestling specific. I do like benching and just some other stuff, some general stuff on some of the days, but I do arm wrestling specific stuff too, apart from that. Adamantium says, what weight class are you? I'm solidly a super heavyweight. I think right now I'm at about 127 kilograms, a little lighter maybe now. So yeah, I'm solidly in the super heavies. I'm thrown in with all the monsters. Yeah, I'm quite tall, so you can't really see that on the webcam here, but your guess, yeah, makes sense. Other sports have gambling sites as their sponsors. Nothing new. Yep, I don't mind a gambling site necessarily to be the sponsor. I don't think I mind, at least. I've got nothing against gambling in general. I'm just not gonna do it anytime soon myself. Mr. Peanut showing up for a patented Mr. Peanut commentary. Let me quickly check if the fix is going live, because usually that's the way it goes here. By the time my stream ends, the fix will start, and then after that, sometimes Aussie Arm Wrestler goes live too. But let me quickly check if the fix will go live in a couple of minutes. This card, I'll say it again, like the East versus West card, I like it, man. It's looking really juicy, it's looking really good. Like, there's not really any match you can really point to and say this is gonna be a bad match, right? Or like, not an entertaining match at least. Or a match you'd want to see in some way. I wonder what their time slots are gonna be. 8 PM CT. Okay, so they're gonna keep it. That's interesting because, damn, the pullers will have to like pull way late then, right? That's 8 PM Central European time. That's my time. Yeah, and they are gonna be in that time zone, I think. Damn, if the event will start then, means the main card will pull at like what, like 3 AM or something, maybe, or 2 AM? That's crazy. I'll check if he's having the fix. I was in the process of checking here. Let me quickly see. He might not. No, I don't think one is scheduled to start, so I'm good with going overtime a little. if you guys are. Ooh. Hey, Mr. Peanut, what's up? He's ignoring addicts. Do we have any other super heavy YouTube news channels? One day could have a celebrity match between Historian and one of them. Double Beam, perhaps. I would be down, man. I'm always down to have... I've talked about this many times on previous live streams. I would love to participate in a content creator arm wrestling tournament. Like, of course, you'd have to exclude people like Ray and stuff, who have big channels, and Ryan, but they would probably wipe the floor with us. But yeah, I'd love to pull other people. I'd love to pull Greg from Eastside Arm Wrestling. I'd love to pull Pradeep, just to see if he's got anything on the table. I'd love to pull with Ozzy. I think you could make a couple pretty good matches there. But yeah, who will sponsor that? Neil is busy trying to find a new way to scam us, says Toljan. Neil has been nothing but good to me on a personal level. Also a working kind of relationship level. Neil has been really nice to me, really good to me. Yeah. I have made my share of time travel jokes and stuff like that, so not like I'm never gonna criticize anything Neil does, because I do, and I have. But in general, I like Neil. I've got nothing against Neil. And I'm looking forward to this event. I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. This is looking really good. How much is the event actually? Can you already buy it? Let's take a look. Okay. So no. Yet the pay-per-view is still redirecting to their old website. Yeah. Get in-person tickets on the other hand, let's take a look. Is going to their new website. So yeah, that is working. That's good. That's good at least. Yeah, Ivan, I like Neil. I like Neil in general. I met Neil. He's normal sized in real life, says Adamantium. Interesting. I haven't met Neil yet. I've met Ryan. I've met Ozzy. I've even met Uncle John. Met Tim Bresnan. I've met Prutnik. Yeah, and a couple of other guys, like lesser well-known guys. I've met Ron Bath. Yeah. But I've never met Neil Pickup. Though I'm sure I will at some point. Your boy Mitch says, where are you from, Historian? It's kind of a running gag here for people to guess where I'm from. I've had the craziest guesses. Right now it's already out there where I'm actually from. But I've had people make the craziest guesses based on my accent. So the in-person tickets are $60 for the cheapest tickets and $195 for the most expensive tickets. Although I'm guessing they'll be doing a VIP one too, right? Let's see if we can find... Where do you find what... yeah, here are the VIP tickets at $7.95. Oh, damn, okay. $795. It's interesting because... Wait, additional information? It doesn't really say what the difference is between silver and gold tickets, right? Because from this it seems like there's 3 tiers here. General admission, Will be seated behind the silver ticket holders. Silver ticket holders will be seated behind the gold ticket and the gold ticket holders. And gold ticket holders will be seated behind the VIP. Okay, interesting. So it just dictates how close you are to the action. Silver ticket is 120, general admission 60, and a gold ticket 195. Interesting. You know, Switzerland isn't that far away for me. Zurich isn't that far. His wife jokes are the actual money making. He does recycle a lot of his own material. It makes it go from good to terrible to good again after a while. Sylvester says, I'm guessing you are in Florida. I'm definitely not in Florida. Adamantium says, you are much taller than Neil, historian. Don't be shocked when you meet him. Try not to look down. Actually, I had kind of the same feeling when I met Uncle John and Ozzy. I expected Ozzy Arm Wrestler to be taller. Orion Bowen was actually taller than I expected him to be. Florida. 2 people guessed I'm from Florida. Lagia says you must be from Mali. Interesting. A Junior 55 AMG says, hi historian, great to see you. Keep the great work up. I appreciate you, Julian. Thanks for tuning into the live and watching my stuff. Appreciate you. Adamantium says, I would guess the Netherlands. No. I do speak Dutch, but I'm not from the Netherlands. That's a pretty good guess though. Mr. Peanut says WAF is WADA, WADA compliant. Testing at the bare minimum to maintain status in the AIMS required by Sport Accord. Interesting info there from Mr. Peanut as always. I'm kind of putting together a playlist too here. Your boy Mitch is Norwegian. No, I'm not a Norwegian. I'm not Norwegian at all. But a nice guess. Neil has high IQ, emotional investment, and amazing voice. Devin versus Hermes match, second round. Pin Neil commenting are immortal in my head, probably. Yeah, he is an iconic figure in the arm wrestling world. And a lot of the times, one of my go-to people, when I need to know something, some kind of obscure detail about the history of arm wrestling, one of the go-to people. I've got like 1 to 3 people I usually, I consult with the oracles of arm wrestling. Give me your knowledge, please, from high up on above. Teach me the old chronicles of arm wrestling, and then I go to Eric Roussan or Neil Pickup, people like that. And oftentimes, Neil has done countless interviews, years ago already. He's been one of the OGs on YouTube with putting out interviews with athletes. And, there's countless of interviews with athletes that I've pulled a lot of information from. And have been really great for, kind of facilitates what I do here, right? In a way. Junior, yes, you guessed correct. That was at Spa-Francorchamps last weekend. Interesting, okay. Nice. Yeah, I am from Belgium, but not that part of Belgium. Closer to the Netherlands. but that is correct, Junior. Yeah, I think we talked about kind of everything I wanted to touch on, so unless someone has like some crazy topic they want to talk about, I think I'm gonna call it here. I'm gonna check one more time if Neil Pickup isn't live coincidentally, but I don't think he is right now. Nope. So yeah, this is gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for dropping by. A quick shout out to all the channel members. I greatly appreciate you. You guys go the extra mile, but as you know, I never ask for it. It's not necessary in any way, but thank you so much. Yeah, and thank all of you guys for hanging out with me. I greatly enjoyed our weekly arm wrestling talk. I'll be here same time, same place next week. And until then, keep your eyes peeled for some new long-form videos coming out on the channel. Thank you so much for showing up today. Until next time, Arm Historian out.